Hello there, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. Tonight we gently drift away from the familiar patterns of stars and galaxies and move outward toward a place that feels quiet, distant, and almost untouched. We're exploring the edge of the universe, not as a boundary to reach, but as a calm idea, a place where space thins, light grows faint, and motion becomes slow and patient. Before we begin, allow your body to settle naturally. Let your shoulders relax, your hands rest easily, and your breathing find its own gentle rhythm. There is nothing you need to follow closely and nothing you need to remember. The day can soften now, becoming quieter with each unforced breath. The edge of the universe is not a sharp line or a wall. It is a gradual fading, a region where matter becomes sparse and distances stretch beyond easy understanding. Here, time feels different. Light travels for billions of years, and change happens so slowly that stillness seems to dominate. It is a place defined not by endings, but by openness. As we continue, we'll explore the most relaxing facts about this distant frontier. We'll talk about how astronomers understand the universe's farthest reaches, how light and space behave at extreme distances, and why this vast quiet can feel so soothing to the human mind. These are not facts meant to excite or overwhelm. They are meant to slow your thoughts, soften your focus, and gently guide you toward rest. If you enjoy these calm journeys through the gentle side of science, you're always welcome to subscribe and return whenever you need quiet curiosity or peaceful sleep. But for now, simply allow your attention to drift outward, beyond familiar stars, into the deep, open calm at the edge of the universe. Let's begin. At the farthest distances we can observe, the universe does not suddenly stop. Instead, it becomes quieter and thinner, as if matter itself has slowly learned how to let go. Galaxies appear farther apart, light grows fainter, and space stretches gently between everything. This gradual thinning creates a sense of openness rather than a boundary, allowing the idea of the universe's edge to feel soft and expansive rather than closed or defined. The edge of the observable universe exists not because space ends, but because light has a limited time to travel. The light reaching us from the farthest regions has been moving for billions of years, crossing vast distances at a steady, unhurried pace. What we see is not a place in space alone, but a moment in time preserved quietly in the darkness. As distance increases toward the universe's edge, motion becomes less noticeable. Galaxies still move, and space itself still expands, but the scale is so vast that change feels almost still. This slow unfolding gives the impression of deep calm, where nothing rushes and nothing competes for attention. Near the edge of the observable universe, matter becomes increasingly rare. Gas clouds thin out, stars become sparse, and the spaces between galaxies grow immense. This rarity creates a kind of cosmic silence, where the absence of structure feels peaceful rather than empty. The light near the universe's edge is stretched by expansion itself. As space expands, light waves lengthen, shifting towards softer, lower energy forms. This process, known as redshift, gently transforms energetic light into something calmer, as if the universe slowly quiets its own signals over time. Time behaves differently when considered at the scale of the universe's edge. Events unfold over millions or billions of years, far beyond human perception. In this context, urgency disappears completely. Everything happens slowly enough that stillness becomes the dominant experience. The cosmic background radiation that fills the universe comes from a time very close to its beginning. This faint, uniform glow arrives from all directions, including the farthest edges we can detect. It is remarkably smooth and quiet, offering a constant, gentle presence that permeates all of space. As we look farther out, structures become simpler. Complex galaxies give way to more uniform patterns, and eventually to near-uniform darkness. This simplicity creates a visual calm, where the universe feels less crowded and more spacious. The edge of the observable universe is the same in every direction. No matter where we look, we see a similar distance limit. This symmetry creates a sense of balance, as if the universe surrounds us evenly, without preference or imbalance. Even at its farthest observable reaches, the universe continues without indication of an ending. Beyond what we can see, space still exists, expanding quietly. The idea that there is always more beyond observation reinforces a feeling of openness, where nothing concludes and calm continues without boundary. As we consider the edge of the universe, it becomes clear that darkness itself is not empty or inactive. Even in the most distant regions, space is filled with faint energy, lingering radiation, and subtle structure. This quiet presence creates a background that never fully disappears, allowing the universe to feel gently occupied rather than void. The farther we look toward the universe's edge, the older the light becomes. Some of the light reaching our telescopes today began its journey when the universe was very young. This ancient light carries no urgency. It arrives slowly, steadily, unchanged by the passage of time, offering a calm reminder of how patiently the universe unfolds. At extreme distances, the expansion of space becomes more important than the motion of objects within it. Galaxies are not rushing away through space, but rather space itself is stretching gently between them. This expansion is smooth and continuous, creating motion that feels quiet and evenly paced rather than forceful. The concept of an edge becomes softer when we understand that it is defined by observation, not by structure. The universe does not present a wall or boundary. Instead, it fades gradually into distances we cannot yet reach with light or instruments. This gradual fading allows the idea of the edge to remain open and calm. In the farthest observable regions, temperature approaches a uniform balance. The intense heat of stars and galaxies becomes distant, replaced by near-even cold that stretches across space. This uniformity removes contrast, allowing the universe to feel thermally quiet and stable. The universe's largest structures become simpler near its observable limits. Filaments of galaxies grow thinner, clusters become rare, and wide stretches of space remain uninterrupted. This simplicity reduces visual complexity, allowing the mind to rest within vast, uncluttered distance. Light travelling from the edge of the universe has been stretched so much that it becomes gentle and faint. This softened light no longer carries sharp energy. Instead, it arrives as a subtle signal, barely detectable, contributing to the universe's overall quiet glow. When we think about the scale of the universe's edge, human concerns dissolve naturally. Distances are so vast and timescales so long that individual moments lose urgency. Everything becomes part of a slow, continuous unfolding that does not hurry or pause. The observable edge of the universe remains consistent over time, even as space expands. As the universe grows, new regions come into view slowly, while others drift beyond detection. This gentle exchange happens gradually, maintaining balance rather than disruption. Beyond the farthest point we can observe, there is no indication of chaos or disorder. Space continues smoothly, governed by the same steady physical laws. The idea that calm order persists even beyond sight allows the edge of the universe to feel peaceful rather than unknown or threatening. As we move farther toward the edge of the observable universe, space itself begins to feel more dominant than the objects within it. Galaxies no longer crowd the view. Instead, immense stretches of emptiness unfold between faint points of light. This dominance of space creates a sense of openness where nothing presses inward and nothing feels confined. The edge of the universe is deeply connected to the speed of light, which moves steadily but not instantly. Because light takes time to travel, the farthest regions we see are preserved in an earlier state. This means the universe gently holds its own memory, allowing the past to exist quietly alongside the present without conflict or urgency. At these extreme distances, gravity still operates, but its effects are subtle and spread thin. Large structures influence one another across vast expanses without sudden movement. This gentle gravitational balance keeps everything drifting calmly, without collisions or sharp interactions. The farther outward we observe, the more evenly the universe appears distributed. Large variations fade, and matter becomes smoother and more uniform. This gradual smoothing removes sharp contrasts, allowing the visual experience of the universe to feel soft and continuous rather than dramatic or intense. Near the edge of observation, light becomes so faint that it blends almost completely into darkness. This transition is not abrupt. Instead, brightness fades slowly, as if the universe is dimming the lights gently rather than turning them off. This gradual fading supports a feeling of quiet closure without finality. The cosmic expansion that defines the universe's growth does not feel explosive or chaotic at large scales. It happens everywhere at once, evenly and quietly. Space stretches without sound, without friction, and without resistance, creating motion that feels more like breathing than movement. The laws of physics remain consistent even at the universe's edge. The same principles that govern atoms and stars nearby also apply far beyond what we can see. This consistency creates reassurance, suggesting that calm order continues uninterrupted across all distances. As distance increases, time itself becomes harder to define in familiar terms. Events take so long to unfold that they feel almost static. In this context, change exists, but at such a slow pace that stillness becomes the dominant experience. The universe's edge offers perspective rather than mystery. It reminds us that limits are often defined by perception rather than reality. Beyond what we see, space continues quietly, expanding gently without signaling an end or boundary. Thinking about the edge of the universe invites the mind to release the need for completion. There is no final point to reach and no conclusion to arrive at. Instead, there is ongoing openness, where calm continues naturally, unbroken by endings or beginnings. As we consider regions closer to the edge of the observable universe, the idea of distance itself begins to lose meaning. Distances become so vast that familiar measurements dissolve into abstraction. Instead of thinking in miles or kilometers, space is experienced as a gentle stretch, an openness that does not need to be crossed or measured, only allowed to exist. The edge of the universe is filled with an almost perfect stillness created by scale. On human timescales, nothing appears to move. Galaxies drift, expansion continues, and light travels, yet all of it unfolds so slowly that the experience feels motionless. This quiet pace allows the mind to settle, as there is no urgency or sudden change. Light arriving from the farthest regions carries the imprint of an earlier universe, one that was smoother and more uniform. This ancient light has been softened by time and distance, its intensity reduced until it becomes a gentle presence rather than a sharp signal. It reaches us calmly, without demand. Near the universe's edge, contrast fades. Bright regions become rare, and darkness spreads evenly between faint sources of light. This lack of contrast creates a visual calm, where nothing stands out sharply enough to demand attention, allowing awareness to drift without focus. The expansion of space near the observable edge does not create disruption. Instead, it gently increases separation between distant objects. This steady expansion feels balanced and quiet, maintaining order while allowing the universe to remain open and spacious. As space stretches outward, energy spreads thinner and thinner. Concentrated activity becomes rare, replaced by vast regions of low-energy calm. This thinning of energy contributes to the sense that the universe grows quieter as it expands. The farther outward we look, the simpler the universe appears. Complex structures dissolve into broad patterns, and eventually into near uniformity, this simplicity removes distraction, allowing the vastness itself to become the primary experience. The edge of observation reminds us that limits are defined by light, not by space. Beyond what we see, space continues quietly, governed by the same gentle rules. This continuity reinforces the idea that calm persists beyond perception. Temperature variations also smooth out near the edge of the universe. Extreme heat and cold give way to a steady background state. This thermal balance removes sharp sensations, allowing the universe to feel evenly settled. Reflecting on the universe's edge encourages a release of mental tension. There is no finish line to reach and no final structure to understand. Instead, there is endless openness, where space, time, and light continue unfolding quietly, without conclusion. As we imagine the regions approaching the edge of the observable universe, space itself begins to feel like the main presence, rather than the objects within it. Galaxies appear more like distant suggestions than distinct forms, and the spaces between them stretch wider and wider. This overwhelming openness creates a sensation of calm emptiness, where nothing crowds the view and nothing presses inward. The farther we look, the more the universe feels evenly balanced. There are fewer dramatic changes, fewer sudden shifts, and fewer concentrated regions of activity. Instead, everything spreads out gently, allowing the universe to feel smooth and continuous, like a quiet surface without ripples. Light from the universe's edge carries with it a sense of patience. Having travelled for billions of years, it arrives softly without urgency. This light has endured expansion, cooling and stretching, yet it remains steady, offering a calm signal from the distant past. Near the observable limit, the universe feels less like a collection of places and more like a single unified expanse. Individual structures blend into the background, and the sense of separation fades. This unity creates a feeling of wholeness rather than fragmentation. The expansion of the universe becomes most noticeable at these vast scales, yet it remains gentle. Space does not tear or strain, it stretches smoothly and evenly, allowing everything within it to drift apart without disruption. This slow expansion reinforces a sense of quiet continuity. As matter thins near the universe's edge, interactions become rare. Collisions, energetic events, and dramatic changes give way to long periods of calm. This reduction in interaction allows the universe to feel increasingly peaceful as distance grows. The faint glow that fills the universe at its edges acts as a constant background, present everywhere at once. This glow does not flicker or pulse. It remains steady and uniform, creating a gentle cosmic atmosphere that supports stillness. Thinking about the edge of the universe shifts focus away from details and towards scale. When scale becomes immense, small variations lose importance. This shift naturally quiets the mind, as there is nothing specific that needs attention. The laws that guide the universe do not change near its edge. Gravity, energy, and space itself continue to behave in consistent ways. This reliability offers reassurance, suggesting that calm order persists even at the farthest distances. At the edge of observation, the universe does not signal an ending. There is no marker or boundary, only a gradual fading into what cannot yet be seen. This absence of conclusion allows calm to remain open and ongoing, without resolution or closure. As we move closer in thought to the edge of the observable universe, the idea of direction itself begins to soften. There is no clear sense of forward or outward, only distance expanding evenly in every direction. This lack of orientation removes the feeling of travel or pursuit, allowing the mind to rest within a space that does not require movement or destination. At extreme cosmic distances, space becomes the dominant feature not because it is empty, but because it is patient. It holds galaxies, radiation, and energy gently, without compressing or demanding interaction. This patient holding creates an atmosphere of deep calm, where existence feels supported rather than driven. The universe near its edge feels quiet because energetic processes become increasingly rare. Star formation slows, collisions become uncommon, and dramatic events fade into the background. What remains is a vast, steady environment where change happens slowly enough to feel almost timeless. Light travelling from these distant regions has been softened by its long journey. Each wave has stretched gradually as space expanded, losing sharpness and intensity. By the time it arrives, it carries a muted presence, contributing to the universe's gentle, low-energy glow rather than drawing attention. The farther outward we observe, the more the universe resembles a calm, evenly spread fabric rather than a collection of objects. Patterns smooth out, structures become subtle, and the sense of separation dissolves into a continuous field. This continuity allows the mind to release focus and simply rest within the idea of space itself. Near the observable edge, the universe feels thermally quiet. Extreme temperatures become rare, replaced by a near-uniform cold that remains stable across enormous distances. This steady temperature removes contrast, creating a sense of equilibrium that supports stillness rather than stimulation. Time at the universe's edge stretches beyond familiarity. Events unfold over spans so long that urgency disappears entirely. In this context, waiting loses meaning and stillness becomes the natural state. Nothing needs to happen soon, and nothing feels delayed. The cosmic background radiation that fills these distant regions remains smooth and consistent. It does not fluctuate or pulse noticeably. Instead, it acts like a quiet hum beneath everything else, a steady presence that reinforces the feeling of calm continuity throughout space. The farther we look, the more the universe feels balanced rather than chaotic. Matter, energy, and expansion all interact gently without sudden disruptions. This balance suggests that calm is not an absence of activity, but a stable relationship between forces that unfold slowly and evenly. At the edge of what we can observe, the universe offers openness rather than closure. There is no final structure, no last object, and no signal that says this is the end. Instead, there is a gradual fading into distance where space continues quietly beyond perception, allowing calm to remain open, ongoing, and unresolved. As we drift farther in thought toward the edge of the observable universe, the concept of scale becomes so large that comparison gently dissolves. Near and far lose their contrast, and distance becomes something felt rather than measured. This vastness does not overwhelm. Instead, it quiets the mind, because there is nothing to grasp and nothing to calculate. Space simply exists, wide and patient. In these distant regions, motion still occurs, but it unfolds so slowly that it feels almost symbolic rather than physical. Galaxies shift, expansion continues, and energy spreads thinner, yet none of it rushes. Change happens at a pace that invites rest, reminding us that movement does not need speed to be meaningful. The edge of the universe is shaped by a long history of cooling. As the universe expanded, energy dispersed and temperatures gradually lowered. This slow cooling continues even now, creating a cosmic environment that feels increasingly calm and settled, as though the universe itself is gently exhaling. At extreme distances, gravity becomes subtle and diffuse. Its influence stretches across immense spaces without creating sudden attraction or collapse. This gentle gravitational presence supports balance rather than tension, allowing large regions of space to remain undisturbed for billions of years. The farther outward we look, the quieter the universe feels because complexity gradually fades. Dense clusters give way to sparse arrangements, and eventually to near uniformity. This simplicity removes visual noise and cognitive demand, allowing awareness to rest comfortably within broad, uncomplicated space. Light from the edge of the universe does not arrive as a sharp signal. It reaches us softened by time, distance, and expansion. Its journey transforms it into a quiet messenger, carrying information without urgency, as if the universe communicates in whispers rather than declarations. The universe near its observable boundary does not feel directional. There is no sense of approaching something or leaving something behind. Space expands evenly in all directions, creating a feeling of suspension rather than travel. This lack of direction allows the mind to let go of movement entirely. In these distant regions, the universe feels older not in age alone, but in character. Everything appears settled, experienced, and unhurried. The energy of beginnings has softened into a steady state, where existence continues without dramatic change. The faint cosmic background that fills these regions acts like a constant companion. It does not vary sharply or draw attention to itself. Instead, it remains quietly present, reinforcing the idea that the universe holds continuity even where structure becomes scarce. At the farthest reaches we can imagine, the universe offers no clear ending point. Observation fades before space does. Beyond what can be seen, the same calm laws continue to apply, allowing openness to extend without boundary. This endless continuation removes the need for closure, leaving only a sense of quiet persistence. As we imagine the universe near its observable edge, the idea of location begins to soften into something more abstract. There are no landmarks to orient toward, and no reference points to define position. Space becomes less about where something is and more about the gentle fact that it exists at all. This absence of orientation allows the mind to rest without needing to situate itself anywhere. In these distant regions, the universe feels almost evenly textured. Differences between one place and another become subtle, and variation smooths out across enormous distances. This evenness removes contrast and complexity, allowing the visual and conceptual experience of space to feel calm, continuous, and uninterrupted. The farther outward we consider, the more the universe resembles a quiet, slowly stretching fabric rather than a stage of events. Nothing pulls sharply, nothing collides dramatically, and nothing demands attention. Everything simply drifts, held gently within space that expands without sound or resistance. Near the edge of observation, the idea of beginnings fades. Objects are not forming rapidly, and structures are not assembling with urgency. Instead, the universe feels settled into a long middle state, where processes continue quietly without striving towards growth or change. Light in these regions has travelled so far that its original intensity has been transformed into softness. What once may have been energetic radiation becomes faint and calm, contributing to a background presence rather than a focal point. This transformation gives the universe a naturally soothing quality as its signals mellow over time. The scale of the universe's edge gently dissolves the sense of importance attached to individual objects. No single galaxy or structure stands out. Everything blends into the larger whole, encouraging a sense of unity rather than separation. This blending allows the mind to release focus and rest within the idea of totality. As space expands, energy becomes more evenly distributed. High concentrations spread out and extremes soften. This gradual redistribution creates a cosmic balance where sharp peaks and sudden changes become increasingly rare, replaced by long periods of stability. The universe near its edge does not feel unfinished or incomplete. Instead, it feels open, as though it is continuing its quiet work without needing observation. This sense of independence removes pressure from the idea of understanding, allowing space to exist simply as it is. In these vast distances, time loses its urgency entirely. Events unfold over spans so long that anticipation becomes meaningless. Waiting no longer applies, because nothing arrives quickly enough to be awaited. This timelessness allows stillness to dominate perception. At the farthest edge we can imagine, the universe offers continuity rather than finality. Space does not signal an ending, nor does it suggest a pause. It simply extends calm and steady beyond observation. This endless extension allows calm to remain unresolved and open, carrying on gently without conclusion. As we drift farther into the idea of the universe's edge, the concept of emptiness transforms into something gentle and full. Even where matter is scarce, space carries structure, history, and quiet motion. This subtle fullness means the universe never truly feels vacant. Instead, it feels soft-occupied by distance itself, offering a calm sense of presence without activity. At these immense distances, the universe feels increasingly self-contained. There is no sense of interaction with anything beyond it, no outside influence pressing inward. Everything that exists does so within the same expanding framework, creating a feeling of completeness that does not rely on boundaries or borders. The farther we imagine outward, the more the universe resembles a slow, continuous breath. Expansion does not happen in bursts or waves. It unfolds evenly and quietly, stretching space itself without sound or friction. This rhythm feels steady and reassuring, as though the universe is calmly maintaining its own balance. Near the edge of observation, the distinction between foreground and background dissolves. There is no clear subject and no backdrop. Everything exists within the same distant plane, allowing awareness to rest without needing to focus or prioritize any one element. The universe's edge feels quiet partly because so little changes there on human timescales. Structures remain nearly identical for millions of years. This permanence removes the need for attention, allowing the mind to relax into a sense of continuity rather than anticipation. Light arriving from these regions carries extreme age without decay. Though ancient, it remains intact, preserving information across unimaginable spans of time. This endurance reflects a universe that does not rush or discard, but instead carries its past forward gently and patiently. As matter becomes rarer, silence becomes more complete. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of vast separation. Objects are simply too far apart to interact frequently. This spaciousness creates a calm environment where nothing interrupts the stillness. At the observable edge, the universe appears almost evenly illuminated by faint background radiation. There are no bright flares or sudden bursts. Instead, a soft uniform glow remains, creating a consistent and soothing cosmic atmosphere. The farther outward we imagine, the less the universe feels like a collection of events, and the more it feels like a condition. Existence itself becomes the focus rather than activity. This shift allows the mind to rest without needing to follow processes or outcomes. In these distant reaches, the universe offers no signal of conclusion. Observation ends, but continuation does not. Space simply extends beyond what can be seen, governed by the same calm laws, allowing openness to persist indefinitely without resolution or finality. As we imagine the universe at the farthest edge of what can be observed, space itself begins to feel timeless rather than ancient. Time does not appear to move forward in noticeable steps. Instead, it stretches gently, allowing moments to blend together so smoothly that beginnings and endings lose distinction. In these distant regions, the universe feels remarkably stable. Nothing dramatic interrupts the vast calm. Structures that exist remain in place for immense spans of time, creating an atmosphere of quiet endurance rather than change or instability. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels evenly paced. There are no sudden accelerations, no bursts of intensity, and no rapid transitions. Everything unfolds at a speed so slow that it feels almost suspended, inviting deep mental rest. Near the edge of observation, the universe becomes less defined by objects and more defined by continuity. Space, energy, and time exist together as a steady condition, rather than as separate elements, allowing the experience of the universe to feel unified and whole. Light arriving from the universe's edge feels gentle because it has been softened by expansion and distance. Its journey transforms it from something energetic into something calm, contributing to the universe's quiet presence rather than demanding attention. As matter thins and separation increases, interaction becomes rare. This rarity creates a sense of spacious peace, where nothing collides or interferes. The universe feels wide open, allowing stillness to remain undisturbed. The edge of the universe encourages a release from the need to understand everything at once. There is no single structure to analyze or event to follow. Instead, there is broad existence unfolding quietly, allowing curiosity to rest rather than pursue answers. The farther we imagine outward, the more the universe feels impartial. No region feels favored or emphasized. Everything exists under the same gentle rules, creating a sense of fairness and balance that supports calm reflection. At these distances, the universe feels complete without being finished. It does not suggest an ending, nor does it push toward one. It simply continues, steady and unhurried, existing without the need for resolution. As we remain with the idea of the universe's edge, calm becomes the dominant quality. There is no final boundary to reach, and no moment that signals closure. Space extends quietly beyond sight, allowing openness, balance, and stillness to persist without conclusion. As we move beyond the familiar idea of an edge and into the feeling of endless extension, the universe begins to resemble a calm continuum rather than a place with limits. Space does not announce where observation ends. Instead, perception simply fades, much like sound dissolving into silence, leaving behind a soft awareness of continuation. In these farthest regions, the universe appears deeply settled, not inactive, but complete in its pace. Expansion continues, energy drifts and time passes, yet nothing competes for attention. This settled quality creates a sense that everything is exactly where it needs to be, without adjustment or urgency. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels evenly weighted. No area pulls strongly against another. Gravity exists, but its influence stretches thin across enormous distances, creating balance rather than tension. This equilibrium supports the feeling of deep cosmic rest. Light at the extreme limits of observation becomes less about illumination and more about presence. It does not reveal details sharply. Instead, it softly confirms that space exists, that time has passed, and that continuity remains intact across unimaginable distance. At these distances, the universe feels patient in a way that is difficult to translate into everyday experience. Nothing happens quickly enough to be noticed, and nothing changes abruptly enough to disturb stillness. This patience allows the mind to release its expectation of movement. The universe near its observable boundary feels unified not because everything is close together, but because separation becomes so vast that distinctions lose importance. Individual forms blend into the greater whole, encouraging a sense of calm unity rather than isolation. As matter becomes increasingly sparse, space itself becomes the primary experience. The absence of clutter allows awareness to rest within openness rather than focusing on objects. This openness feels supportive rather than empty, offering room to breathe without demand. Time near the edge of the universe feels less like a sequence and more like a quiet field. Moments do not stack or rush forward. They exist gently alongside one another, allowing stillness to dominate perception rather than progression. The cosmic laws that operate in these regions continue without variation. There is no breakdown of order and no increase in chaos. The same calm principles apply everywhere, reinforcing the sense that the universe remains reliable even beyond what can be observed. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending beyond sight, there is no pressure to imagine what comes next. The continuation itself is enough. Space moves on quietly, time unfolds gently, and calm remains present, steady and unresolved. As we continue outward in thought beyond familiar distances, the universe begins to feel less like a place and more like a condition of existence. Space does not present itself as something to move through, but as something that simply surrounds everything. This surrounding presence feels steady and unchanging, allowing the mind to relax without needing direction or destination. In these farthest regions, the universe appears to have settled into a long-lasting balance. Expansion continues quietly, energy remains evenly spread, and nothing disrupts the overall calm. This balance does not feel fragile. Instead, it feels deeply stable, as though the universe has found a rhythm it is comfortable maintaining. The farther outward we imagine, the less meaningful sharp boundaries become. There is no clear separation between regions, no visible dividing lines. Everything blends gently into everything else, creating a seamless continuity that feels soothing rather than confusing. Light that reaches us from these distances carries no urgency or intensity. It arrives softened and stretched, its journey smoothing away sharpness. By the time it reaches observation, it feels like a gentle reminder of connection, rather than a signal demanding attention. At these distances, the universe feels unbothered by observation. Whether seen or unseen, it continues exactly as it is. This independence removes pressure from understanding, allowing the mind to rest without needing to interpret or explain what exists. The immense scale near the universe's edge gently dissolves the idea of importance attached to individual moments. No single event dominates. Everything exists within a wide, quiet context, where significance spreads evenly and nothing feels overwhelming. Space near the observable limit feels calm because it holds very little contrast. Brightness fades, density smooths, and temperature differences become subtle. This lack of contrast removes stimulation, allowing awareness to soften naturally. The farther we imagine outward, the more the universe feels steady rather than dynamic. Change exists, but it unfolds slowly and evenly. This steadiness supports a sense of deep rest, where nothing feels rushed or unresolved. The cosmic background that fills these distant regions remains consistent and gentle. It does not rise or fall noticeably. Instead, it acts as a constant presence, reinforcing continuity across time and distance. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending beyond what can be seen, there is no sense of completion waiting ahead. Space continues quietly, time flows gently, and calm remains open and ongoing, without any need for a final moment or conclusion. As we imagine the universe extending far beyond what can be observed, space begins to feel deeply forgiving. There is no pressure for form, no requirement for structure, and no expectation of change. Space simply allows everything within it to exist without resistance. This forgiving quality creates a sense of comfort, as though nothing is being judged or rushed into becoming something else. In these distant regions, the universe feels calm because it holds no urgency of creation or destruction. Starbirth slows, energetic events become rare, and dramatic transformations fade into the background. What remains is a long, steady continuation where existence itself is enough, without the need for constant renewal. The farther outward we consider, the more the universe feels evenly supported. No single force dominates. Gravity, expansion, and energy balance one another gently, creating an environment where nothing overwhelms and nothing collapses. This balance gives the impression of quiet strength rather than fragility. Light travelling from these farthest reaches does not arrive with sharp clarity. It carries softness shaped by distance and time, arriving more as a presence than an image. This softened arrival contributes to the overall calm of the universe, where information flows without demand. Near the edge of the observable universe, the idea of isolation dissolves. Although objects are separated by vast distances, They remain connected through the same fabric of space and the same laws of physics. This shared structure creates a sense of unity that does not rely on closeness. The universe at these distances feels patient beyond comparison. Processes unfold on timescales so long that the concept of waiting no longer applies. Everything happens when it happens, without delay or anticipation. This timeless patience allows the mind to release concern about progress or outcome. As density decreases, the universe becomes quieter not only visually but conceptually. There is less to interpret, fewer patterns to follow, and fewer changes to monitor. This reduction in complexity allows awareness to settle gently, without effort or focus. The edge of observation reveals a universe that does not insist on being understood. It exists independently of attention, continuing calmly whether it is studied or ignored. This independence allows curiosity to soften into acceptance rather than striving for answers. Space near the universe's edge feels expansive without being empty. Even where matter is scarce, the presence of space itself feels full, carrying history, motion, and quiet energy. This fullness without clutter supports a sense of calm openness rather than absence. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond sight, there is no need to imagine what lies ahead. Continuation itself is enough. Space remains open, time remains gentle, and calm persists naturally, without signaling an ending or asking for resolution. As we move deeper into the idea of the universe beyond observation, space begins to feel quietly reassuring rather than distant. There is no sense of being lost or separated. Instead, space feels like a vast, supportive backdrop that holds everything gently, allowing existence to unfold without friction or pressure. At these extreme distances, the universe no longer feels like a sequence of events. It feels like a steady condition that simply persists. Nothing announces itself, nothing interrupts the flow, and nothing asks to be followed. This steady presence allows the mind to relax completely without needing to track change. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels smooth and uninterrupted. Variations fade, edges soften, and transitions become gradual. This smoothness removes sharp mental focus, allowing awareness to drift gently without catching on details. Light that originates near the edge of the observable universe carries a sense of calm endurance. It has travelled without rest, without alteration of purpose, and without urgency. Its arrival feels less like a message and more like a quiet confirmation that continuity exists across immense time and distance. In these distant regions, the universe feels deeply impartial. No area is favoured, no direction is emphasised, and no structure demands importance. Everything exists evenly within the same expanding space, creating a sense of balance that feels emotionally soothing. The universe near its observational limit feels quiet because interaction becomes extremely rare. Objects are separated by such vast distances that they rarely influence one another directly. This separation allows stillness to dominate, uninterrupted by collision or disruption. As space expands, it does so evenly and without strain. There is no sense of stretching toward a breaking point. Expansion feels natural and sustainable, reinforcing the idea that the universe is comfortable with its own growth. The farther we imagine outward, the more the universe feels settled into a long, calm phase of existence. Early intensity is softened, and dramatic transformation has slowed. What remains is a steady continuation where nothing needs to change quickly. At the universe's edge, observation fades quietly rather than stopping abruptly. There is no final image, no sharp cutoff. Visibility simply dissolves into distance, allowing the idea of space to continue gently beyond sight. As we rest with the idea of endless extension, calm becomes the defining feature. There is no final boundary to reach, and no moment that signals completion. Space remains open, time remains gentle, and existence continues softly, without conclusion or demand. As we linger with the idea of the universe stretching far beyond what can be seen, space begins to feel deeply accepting. It does not resist expansion, observation, or imagination. It simply allows everything to exist within it, quietly and patiently, without pressure to change or resolve into something else. In these farthest regions, the universe feels calm because nothing competes for attention. There are no dramatic contrasts, no sudden bursts of activity, and no dense concentrations of matter. Everything is spread gently, allowing awareness to rest without being pulled in any direction. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels detached from urgency. Processes unfold without deadlines, without acceleration, and without anticipation. Time exists, but it no longer pushes forward. Instead, it feels like a wide open field in which moments rest rather than rush. Light that has travelled from near the universe's edge carries the quiet resilience of endurance. It has passed through expanding space without interruption, distortion, or exhaustion. By the time it reaches observation, it feels softened and calm, as if shaped by patience itself. Near the edge of observation, the universe appears increasingly harmonious. Forces remain balanced, expansion remains smooth, and nothing strains against anything else. This harmony feels stable and long-lasting, creating a sense that the universe is not struggling, but resting comfortably within its own laws. As matter becomes sparse, silence grows more complete. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of distance. Objects are simply too far apart to disturb one another. This vast separation allows stillness to settle deeply across space. The universe at these distances feels unconcerned with being noticed. Whether observed or not, it continues exactly as it is. This independence removes any need for interpretation, allowing space to exist freely without expectation or explanation. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels continuous rather than segmented. There are no clear divisions, no visible edges, and no final regions. Everything blends gently into everything else, reinforcing the feeling of seamless extension. Space near the universe's edge feels calm because it holds history without memory. Events that occurred billions of years ago remain embedded in light and structure, yet they do not replay or repeat. They simply exist as quiet traces, contributing to the steady presence of the whole. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond sight, there is no sense of completion waiting ahead. Space does not arrive at a conclusion, and time does not pause for reflection. Everything continues gently, open and unresolved, allowing calm to persist naturally without end. As we continue beyond familiar limits, the universe begins to feel less like something expanding and more like something calmly unfolding. Expansion is not experienced as motion outward, but as a gradual easing, where space gently makes room for itself without effort. This unfolding feels natural and unforced, creating a deep sense of ease. In these distant reaches, the universe holds vast amounts of time without needing to express it. Billions of years exist quietly within the same calm structure, layered without pressure. Past, present, and future feel less like separate stages and more like a single steady continuum. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels settled into a long state of quiet maturity. Early turbulence has softened, dramatic change has slowed, and what remains is a patient continuation. This maturity brings a sense of reassurance, as though the universe has learned how to rest. Space near the edge feels calm because it is free from congestion. Nothing crowds or overlaps. Each region exists with generous distance from the next, allowing everything to remain undisturbed. This spaciousness creates an environment where stillness feels protected rather than fragile. Light arriving from these regions feels almost weightless. It no longer carries intensity or urgency. Instead, it arrives as a gentle confirmation of connection, reminding us that even across immense distances, continuity remains quietly intact. The universe at these distances feels balanced without effort. Forces do not push against one another aggressively. Gravity, expansion, and energy coexist in a way that feels cooperative rather than competitive. This cooperation supports a sense of calm stability. As density decreases, the universe becomes less demanding of attention. There is less to observe, fewer changes to track, and fewer details to interpret. This simplicity allows awareness to soften naturally without focus or analysis. The farther we move outward in thought, the more the universe feels accepting of uncertainty. There is no need to define what cannot be seen. Unknown regions do not create tension. Instead, they exist quietly, allowed to remain undefined without discomfort. Space near the observable edge feels deeply continuous. There are no visible seams or interruptions. Everything blends smoothly into the next, creating a sense of endless flow rather than segmented structure. This smoothness encourages mental rest. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending far beyond perception, calm becomes the dominant quality. Nothing signals an ending and nothing asks to be concluded. Space continues softly, time remains gentle, and existence flows on, open and unhurried, without needing to resolve. As we rest with the idea of the universe extending farther than observation allows, space begins to feel deeply neutral. It does not favor growth or stillness, beginnings or endings. It simply allows everything within it to exist without preference. This neutrality creates a calm backdrop where nothing feels pushed or delayed and nothing feels out of place. In these farthest reaches, the universe seems to move without intention. Expansion continues, but not toward a goal. It happens evenly, quietly, without direction. This lack of purpose does not feel empty. Instead, it feels peaceful, as though the universe is content simply continuing as it is. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels like a gentle holding space rather than an active environment. Matter, energy, and time are all carried without strain. Nothing needs to be supported actively. Everything rests naturally within the structure of space itself. Light near the edge of the observable universe feels almost ceremonial in its arrival. After travelling for billions of years, it does not rush in. It appears softly, barely noticeable, carrying with it the quiet assurance that continuity has never been broken, even across unimaginable distances. At these distances, the universe feels less like a story unfolding and more like a steady presence that has always been there. Events do not line up in sequences that demand attention. Instead, everything exists simultaneously within a calm, unhurried framework. The universe near its edge feels calm because it does not accumulate tension. Energy spreads rather than concentrates. Differences soften rather than sharpen. Over time, this spreading creates an environment where extremes dissolve and balance becomes the natural state. As we imagine space continuing beyond sight, the idea of separation gently fades. Although distances are vast, everything remains connected through the same fabric of space and governed by the same quiet laws. This shared structure creates unity without closeness, togetherness without crowding. The farther outward we consider, the more the universe feels resilient. Nothing appears fragile or temporary. Structures may be sparse, but the underlying framework remains steady. This resilience contributes to a feeling of trust, as though the universe knows how to continue without intervention. Time at the edge of the universe feels wide and spacious rather than linear. Moments do not rush forward. They simply exist, layered gently within the same calm expanse. This spaciousness allows the mind to loosen its grip on progression and rest within presence. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond what can be seen, there is no sense of anticipation waiting ahead. Nothing needs to arrive, nothing needs to conclude. Space continues quietly, time unfolds gently, and calm remains open, steady, and ongoing, without any need to resolve or end. As we continue resting with the idea of the universe extending far beyond sight, space begins to feel deeply patient. Nothing presses forward, and nothing lingers behind. Everything exists within a calm allowance, where time is not something to chase or measure, but something that simply accompanies existence quietly. In these distant reaches, the universe feels remarkably untroubled. There are no signs of strain, no evidence of imbalance, and no urgency to correct or complete anything. Expansion continues smoothly, as if the universe is fully comfortable with its own pace and direction. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels like a steady background rather than an active scene. There is no central focus, no dominant feature, and no moment demanding attention. This lack of emphasis allows awareness to soften and remain at rest. Light travelling from these regions feels almost symbolic rather than physical. Its presence confirms continuity without demanding interpretation. It arrives not as a message to be decoded, but as a gentle reminder that space has remained connected across immense time. Near the universe's edge, the idea of motion becomes subtle and abstract. Change exists, but it unfolds so slowly that it blends into stillness. This slow unfolding creates an environment where calm feels permanent rather than temporary. The universe at these distances feels calm because it no longer holds extremes. Sharp contrasts fade, dramatic events become rare, and differences smooth out over scale. What remains is a wide equilibrium where nothing stands out strongly enough to disturb rest. As we imagine space continuing beyond observation, the mind no longer seeks landmarks or destinations. There is nowhere specific to arrive and nothing to leave behind. This release from navigation allows awareness to remain suspended in gentle openness. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels self-sustaining. It does not require maintenance, attention, or understanding to continue. It unfolds quietly on its own, creating a sense of reassurance that calm does not depend on control. Time near the edge of the universe feels almost circular rather than linear. Events do not push forward toward outcomes. Instead, existence feels evenly spread, where moments coexist gently without urgency or sequence. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond what can be seen, calm becomes the dominant experience. There is no final boundary, no closing moment, and no conclusion waiting ahead. Space continues softly, time remains gentle, and everything unfolds quietly, open and unresolved, without needing to end. As we imagine the universe beyond the furthest point we can observe, space begins to feel quietly generous. It offers room without expectation, allowing everything within it to exist without crowding or pressure. This generosity creates a feeling of ease, as though the universe itself is making space for stillness to settle naturally. In these farthest reaches, the universe feels almost weightless in character, not because gravity disappears, but because nothing presses closely enough to feel heavy. Distances are so vast that influence spreads gently, creating an atmosphere where nothing feels burdened or strained. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels calm through continuity rather than activity. There are no sharp transitions between states, only smooth persistence. Space remains space, time remains time, and existence continues without interruption or demand for attention. Light arriving from such distant regions carries a sense of quiet loyalty. It has remained true to its path for billions of years, never rushing, never stopping. This steady journey reflects a universe that values persistence over speed and calm over urgency. Near the edge of what can be known, the universe feels deeply accepting of uncertainty. What cannot be seen does not create tension or mystery that needs solving. Instead, the unknown rests comfortably alongside the known, allowed to remain undefined without discomfort. The vast separation between structures at these distances allows silence to dominate experience, not silence as absence, but silence as spaciousness. With so little interaction, the universe feels peaceful, as though nothing is interrupting the long quiet between moments. As expansion continues, it does so without drama. Space stretches evenly, without tearing or resistance. This smooth expansion creates a sense that growth itself can be calm, gentle and unforced, unfolding without strain. The farther we imagine outward, the more the universe feels settled into its own rhythm. This rhythm does not change abruptly or accelerate. It remains steady, creating a background tempo that supports rest rather than motion. Time near the universe's edge feels less like progression and more like presence. Moments do not hurry toward outcomes. They exist quietly, layered gently within the same vast expanse, allowing awareness to rest without tracking movement. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond observation, calm remains uninterrupted. There is no final image to arrive at and no moment that signals completion. Space continues softly, time remains gentle, and existence carries on quietly, open and unhurried, without any need to end. As we rest with the idea of the universe extending even farther beyond everything we can imagine, space begins to feel deeply calm in its acceptance of scale. Nothing resists becoming vast. There is no tension between small and large, near and far. Everything simply exists within space without needing to compare itself to anything else. In these farthest reaches, the universe feels untouched by urgency because nothing depends on immediacy. Processes unfold over spans so long that speed becomes irrelevant. This absence of haste creates an environment where stillness feels natural and uninterrupted. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels quietly self-contained. It does not seek interaction, recognition, or response. Space, time, and energy continue together without needing observation, creating a sense of calm independence. Light from these extreme distances arrives not as illumination, but as reassurance. Its faint presence confirms that continuity has persisted across immense stretches of time and space, without interruption or disruption. This reassurance feels gentle and grounding rather than informational. Near the universe's furthest imagined edge, the idea of direction fades completely. There is no outward or inward, no forward or backward. Space expands evenly in every direction, removing the need for orientation and allowing awareness to rest without movement. The universe at these distances feels calm because nothing accumulates pressure. Energy spreads out, differences soften, and extremes dissolve naturally. Over time, this spreading creates a stable equilibrium where tension has no place to gather. As we imagine space continuing beyond any limit, the universe feels deeply patient with itself. It does not rush toward outcomes or pause for reflection. It simply continues, allowing existence to unfold at its own quiet pace. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels gently resilient. Nothing appears fragile or temporary. Even in its sparsity, the structure of space remains steady and reliable, supporting the sense that calm can persist indefinitely. Time near the universe's edge feels expansive rather than sequential. Moments do not follow one another tightly. They exist loosely, allowing presence to stretch without urgency. This spaciousness invites the mind to let go of tracking time altogether. As we remain with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond what can be seen or known, calm remains the dominant experience. There is no final threshold to cross and no moment of conclusion waiting ahead. Space continues softly, time remains gentle, and existence flows on quietly, open and unhurried, without any need to end. Beyond the edge of what can be observed, space feels less like an unknown and more like a continuation of calm. There is no sudden change in character, no shift that signals danger or disorder. Instead, the same gentle fabric of space extends onward, suggesting that calm does not stop where vision ends. At these unimaginable distances, the universe feels deeply unreactive. Nothing responds quickly to anything else. Causes and effects are separated by enormous spans of space and time, allowing events to unfold without immediacy. This separation creates a peaceful buffer where nothing presses urgently upon anything else. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe seems content with silence. There are no signals competing for attention and no burst demanding interpretation. The quiet becomes a steady companion rather than an absence, offering a sense of rest that feels complete on its own. Space near the farthest reaches feels smooth in a way that defies texture. There are no sharp features to catch the mind. Instead, everything blends gently into distance, allowing awareness to drift without interruption or focus. The universe at extreme scale appears calm because it does not cling to structure. Galaxies and matter exist where they exist, but nothing insists on permanence. This lack of attachment allows space to remain flexible and open, supporting a quiet sense of ease. Light that has crossed nearly the entire observable universe carries with it an extraordinary calm. It has not been hurried, redirected, or interrupted. Its steady journey reflects a universe that values persistence and patience over speed or intensity. In these distant regions, the idea of change becomes almost symbolic. Change still happens, but it unfolds so slowly that it feels gentle rather than disruptive. This softness allows the universe to remain stable without becoming static. The edge of the universe feels calm because it holds no expectations. Nothing needs to arrive, complete, or resolve. Space simply continues, allowing existence to unfold without goal or pressure. As matter thins and separation increases, the universe feels increasingly quiet not because it is empty, but because nothing overlaps or collides. Each region exists peacefully alongside the next, held apart by vast, comfortable distance. As we rest with the idea of the universe extending endlessly beyond observation, there is a deep sense that calm does not depend on limits. Space continues softly, time remains gentle, and existence flows on without interruption, without destination, and without any need to conclude. At the farthest scales imaginable, the universe feels calm because nothing is trying to arrive anywhere else. There is no destination toward which space moves. Expansion happens evenly, without direction or intention, creating a sense of rest rather than travel. The universe beyond observation feels unhurried because nothing is watching itself. Processes unfold without awareness of being measured or seen. This absence of self-reference allows everything to continue naturally, without acceleration or hesitation. Space at extreme distances feels gentle because it does not resist change. Expansion does not strain it, and time does not wear it down. Space simply accommodates everything quietly, allowing continuity to feel effortless. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels complete in every moment. Nothing waits to be finished, and nothing feels unfinished. Existence remains whole at every scale, removing the need for anticipation or closure. Light that has travelled from nearly the beginning of time feels calm because it has never been interrupted. It has moved steadily through expanding space, untouched by urgency, carrying with it a sense of uninterrupted continuity. At these distances, the universe feels quiet because nothing is close enough to demand interaction. Separation creates peace. With vast space between everything, motion becomes gentle and influence becomes soft. The universe near its edge feels calm because it does not accumulate energy in one place. Energy spreads evenly, dissolving extremes and preventing tension. Balance emerges naturally from distance itself. Time in these regions feels relaxed because events are not compressed together. Moments have room to exist without pressing into one another. This spaciousness allows time to feel gentle rather than sequential. The farther we imagine beyond sight, the more the universe feels accepting of mystery. Unknown regions do not create discomfort. They remain calmly undefined, allowed to exist without explanation. As the universe extends endlessly beyond what can be observed, calm continues without interruption. Space does not signal an ending, time does not pause, and existence does not require resolution. Everything flows on quietly, open and steady, without needing to conclude. At the farthest reaches we can imagine, the universe feels calm because nothing is crowded. Space gives everything enough room to exist without interference. This generous spacing removes pressure and allows motion, energy, and time to unfold gently, without friction or disturbance. The universe beyond observation feels peaceful because it does not react quickly. Changes take immense spans of time, spreading so slowly that nothing feels sudden. This gradual pace allows stillness to dominate, making calm the natural state rather than the absence of activity. Space at extreme distances feels stable because it does not require maintenance. Nothing holds it together actively, and nothing needs correction. The structure of space supports itself quietly, creating a sense of effortless balance. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels indifferent to beginnings and endings. Stars form and fade elsewhere, but near the edge, processes feel continuous rather than segmented. This continuity removes the idea of arrival or departure. Light that reaches us from near the universe's edge carries an extraordinary softness. After travelling for billions of years, it no longer announces itself. It simply arrives, faint and calm like a quiet presence rather than a message. The universe feels calm at its edges because nothing gathers momentum there. Motion exists, but it does not build toward collision or intensity. Everything remains gently separated, allowing balance to persist without effort. Time in these regions feels wide and spacious. Moments do not stack tightly or rush forward. Instead, they exist with room between them, allowing awareness to rest without tracking progression. The farther outward we reflect, the more the universe feels comfortable within completeness. There is no final form it seeks to reach. It continues openly, allowing existence to remain unfinished without discomfort. Space near the edge feels quiet because it does not echo. With such vast separation, nothing reflects or rebounds quickly. This lack of echo creates a deep silence shaped by distance rather than emptiness. As the universe continues endlessly beyond what can be seen, calm remains uninterrupted. There is no signal of closure, no final boundary, and no moment of conclusion. Space extends softly, time unfolds gently, and existence continues without demand, steady and open, without needing to end. At the greatest distances imaginable, the universe feels calm because nothing is layered too closely together. Space separates everything with generous distance, preventing overlap or compression. This spacious arrangement allows existence to unfold without friction, giving the universe a feeling of ease rather than strain. The universe beyond observation feels peaceful because it does not store tension. Energy does not build up sharply or release suddenly. Instead, it spreads gradually, smoothing itself over time, allowing balance to emerge naturally without force. Space at extreme scales feels gentle because it does not resist expansion. There is no sense of stretching toward a limit or pushing against a boundary. Expansion happens evenly, as if space is simply allowing itself to grow without effort. The farther outward we imagine, the more the universe feels calm through sameness rather than repetition. Patterns remain consistent, not because nothing changes, but because change happens so slowly that it blends into continuity. Light travelling across nearly the entire observable universe feels calm because it carries no urgency. It has moved steadily through expanding space, never needing to arrive quickly. Its presence reflects patience rather than speed. The universe near its edge feels quiet because influence weakens with distance. Gravity still exists, but its pull spreads thin. This softness prevents dramatic motion, allowing objects to remain undisturbed for immense spans of time. Time at these distances feels relaxed because events are not compressed together. There is space between moments, allowing each one to exist without pressure from the next. This spacing gives time a gentle, breathable quality. The farther we imagine beyond sight, the more the universe feels accepting of openness. It does not require form or definition everywhere. Large regions remain simply space, allowing existence without shape or detail. The universe feels calm at its edge because nothing needs to be resolved. There is no final structure waiting to appear, and no ending that must be reached. Continuation itself is enough. As space extends endlessly beyond observation, calm remains steady and uninterrupted. Nothing signals completion, nothing demands attention, and nothing asks to be concluded. Space continues softly, time unfolds gently, and existence flows on quietly, open and unhurried, without needing to end. As this quiet journey toward the farthest edges of the universe begins to settle into the background, there is nothing left to follow and nothing left to understand. The vastness can remain vast without needing your attention, and the distances can continue stretching gently, just as they always have. You may notice your thoughts becoming lighter now, less defined, like faint points of light drifting into a wide open darkness. There is no need to hold on to them. Just as the universe does not rush toward conclusions, your mind does not need to reach one either. Everything important can remain exactly as it is. Allow your breathing to stay slow and unforced. Let your body rest where it is, supported without effort. Imagine yourself floating within that quiet openness, held gently by the same calm structure that carries galaxies across unimaginable distances. Nothing pulls, nothing pushes. Everything simply continues. The edge of the universe reminds us that stillness is not empty and silence is not absence. It is space without demand, time without urgency, and existence without pressure. Within that quiet, rest comes naturally. Thank you for spending this time with the Sleepy Scientist. Whenever the world feels loud or the day feels heavy, you're always welcome to return to these gentle explorations, where science moves slowly and calm unfolds without effort. For now, allow the quiet to remain. Let the vastness soften into comfort, and let whatever comes next arrive naturally, without expectation, without direction, and without needing to end. Good night.